Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the live stream. Sorry, I'm slightly late. It was a bit like the old Morecambe and Wise sketch. I'd pressed the right buttons, but not necessarily maybe in the right order. So I'm live now. Hope you enjoyed the intro. Good evening to Christopher, to Zachary, and to Amaze Tays. And yeah, it certainly is a cold old evening. It's been a cold old week as well. And I just knew that the FA Cup tie between Arsenal and Man United was going to go to extra time. It was guaranteed, wasn't it, the moment I elected to go live at 5 o'clock tonight. But we are underway now, and we'll get in with the first run. So we're back on Cross Country again with that Exeter, well, this time it's Exeter to Bristol Temple Meads. Of course, last week we did the first stage for Plymouth to Exeter St Davids. Yeah, it was a fair old tussle, wasn't it? I did watch bits and pieces of it around making Sunday lunch, but yeah, it was certainly was 0-0 for a long time, wasn't it? And you look at the end scoreline, you think, well, 3-0 to Spurs looks very comfortable indeed, but it doesn't as ever tell the story of the game. And hopefully, yeah, absolutely, I enjoyed that. Enjoyed the run at the end, and yeah, so the plan is it might be slightly shorter tonight, but quite a bit of it's going to be taken up with this Exeter to Bristol Temple Meads, because we are going the slightly longer route round. We're trying to replicate the last run of the cross country service that ran in September 2023, and that went via Castle Carey and Westbury, so it's a little bit of a longer run round. Yeah, it was the usual Sunday lunch, so it seems to be the same every week, really. So chicken, vegetables, Yorkshire pudding, all the usual trimmings, and as usual, a glass of wine to go with it as well. And very nice it was too. Yeah, good morning, Zachary. So, just takes a few seconds for the all this to load up at Exeter St Davids, but there we are. And again, it's this fabulous 43008 and Intercity Swallow livery. So let's get the train set up. I think we've got a green signal anyway, so we might as well get rid of the vigilance device. Get some headlights on as well. As usual, let me know if the sounds aren't coming through too good. Oh yeah, the old autocorrect. Yes, yeah, keeps me intrigued. So the good thing is, I mean, I think this is slightly unrealistic because you can see the cars going over the level crossing, and the barriers will close, but they won't close until we start moving. Don't think they'd leave it that late in real life, that's for sure. Just wait for the brakes to go off, actually. I mean, I'm putting power on, but yeah, we can see the brakes pressure just going down. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the roadmap, and hopefully we might get some screenshots of the Welsh route, and I've got a feeling I'm hoping we're gonna get the release date on the Manchester commuter route as well. And I think we said before, hopefully that might be the end of January. Yes, indeed. Thinking along the same lines as ever. So that'll be exciting. And yeah, thanks for the interest on the Goblin line. And there's loads of really good scenarios that have been done by some very creative people on the Creators Club. And that just seemed like one of them. I thought, let's give that a ride, because they're so similar to the 172s. Oh, I know. That's absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've made my own for now, and then the idea is he might come in with the the drink at the midpoint. That's the idea. So we are stopping at Taunton, Tiverton Parkway, and then Bristol Temple Meads. Strange thing is, I've owned this route for absolutely ages from Just Trains, this South Expressway or whatever they call it, and I don't think I've ever actually done a full run via Castle Carey and Westbury before. So the plan is we'll take this to Bristol Temple Meads. So it's quite a long old haul in itself, because we're almost going back on ourselves to get to Bristol Temple Meads, and then after that we're going to take the Class 47 on a run from Preston to Blackpool, and then finally it's going to be the Javelin with a run from London St Pancras International to Ashford. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a latte, though I always seem to go for a flat white nowadays, but I haven't quite got round. I'm still a bit old school. Go to these coffee establishments, and it's kind of like, I remember the days when you could just order a coffee and not have all these fancy alternatives. Yeah, Bovril always makes me think of football as well. You always seem to smell Bovril when you're at football grounds. Yeah, well, as ever, Zachary, enjoy your dinner when you do. That's fair enough. That's what it's all about. So it's a shortish trek to Taunton, and we will be going alongside the M5 as well at some point. I've had to rework the scenario a little bit, because I've used as a template Castle Carey service to Bristol Temple Meads, a stopping one, but the idea is we should get, I've added in a couple of extra services, we should get passing us before we get to Castle Carey. Excuse me. But it's very flat around these parts, and it kind of makes me think again on holiday to the southwest, because I so often remember travelling about this part of the world. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that is old school, isn't it? But yeah, nowadays a little bit more sophisticated, even in football grounds. we are a bit faster than the survey, so it's really, really slow between Plymouth and Exeter St Davids, and pretty much 60 odd mile an hour most of the way. But this at least has got quite a large stretches of 100. I don't think we'll get above 100 though. And because I'd made the scenario partly myself, I did do a bit of a test of it last night. I did it in the old async keys thing, so we did it 5 times the speed it was built at. So it was a quick run through, but it showed that we could get to the end destination hopefully. I like it. Oh, fantastic. Well, enjoy your food, and we will rejoin you in due course. And it'd be interesting as well. Keep an eye on what's happening with the Arsenal Man United as well. I left it very delicately poised, heading towards full time at 1-1, and I knew extra time was imminent. I thought earlier on when I was doing the post, though, it's guaranteed it'll finish it as a draw, and we'll have that extra time. But as ever, good to see you all on board, and the first, as always, it seems, first time we've heard from Zachary actually for a couple of weeks, but hope everybody all okay. And I'll have to keep an eye out for these stops as well, because I'm not massively familiar with the route in real life. This is the M5 alongside us, and I know that in real life I can remember over the years travelling along the M5 and seeing the trains go by. I think it must have been the summer in 1980. I've got a vague memory of going down to, we went on holiday to Woolacombe in Devon, and I think that was the first time I'd even seen a HST in real life. Yeah, I must confess, I mean, I watched quite a bit of the Spurs game, but I didn't see it from the very start, so I missed out on the team news, and I was kind of watching it in passing, really. Oh, brilliant! Yeah, no, that'll be fantastic. And yeah, I think it's always good to be one step of the game. And then when Train Sim World 6 comes in, no doubt in September, you're going to be well ahead of the pace. Oh, I'm slowed quite down here, haven't I? We can go back up to 100. And this is services as well, nicely captured there with a Shell petrol station as well. And if you kind of go a bit further out, you can see fairly quiet traffic on the M5. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. I probably said before, but my brother's a great fan of Apple Mac, and he absolutely hates um, anything Microsoft related. I think the problem for me though is that, I mean, obviously this is Train Sim Classic, and I can't manage without Train Sim Classic. Much as I love Train Sim World, it's just great to be able to fill in the gaps with Train Sim Classic, and you obviously that's PC only, so must keep an eye out on making this stop at Tiverton Parkway. Just try and get the balance really between making the stop and not putting too heavy brakes on. It's one of those stations that just creeps out of nowhere on you. Yeah, I've read a little bit about stuff like that, but I don't really know much about it. Right, we should be okay on brakes here. Try and come into the platform about 30 mile an hour. Feels as though we're getting incredibly slow actually. Nice hanging baskets there. That should do us. Nice steady stop to begin with. Not like me. Yeah, I know they're very long lasting, aren't they? Apple Macs, and as I say, I'm slightly second hand with it because my brother's the man to talk about Apple Mac, but I know he's a great fan. We still get phones though on the train game. Right, we're all set for Taunton, I think. Thank you. Not always with the same degree of skill, though, I hasten to add. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. By the way, I think the formation of the train, talk about formation, football and stuff, but I've got a suspicion if you look back at last week, you might find that the first class is at the other end, but I didn't have time to sort it out really. I would have then got into the situation where the power cars were the wrong way round and would have needed a bit more time. There's always something to faff about with. I think that's the end of the M5, by the way, on the journey. Yeah, so I understand, and I mean, for me, yeah, I do like to mess around doing a bit of video editing and recording different bits and pieces. So it's PC all the way for me, really. But I do like the idea of upgrading it slowly, and that's I think we talked before, but I think that's a good way of doing it. And you know, rather than try and get something off the shelf all in one go and just steadily upgrade it, I think is a great idea. I mean, certainly it's putting more memory in's helped me, and it's hard to know. In a way, you don't really see the benefit of it, but I'm sure it runs a bit smoother. Very good. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it depends what train you're driving, because the some of the detail that they put in is, you know, it's kind of like real level, to be honest. And I think some of the trains you need a 5-day training course or a 2-week training course just to do it properly. Now we're going quite sharply downhill, so I might put a little bit of brake in, try and keep to the 100-mile-an-hour speed limit. Already coming towards about 4 months of streaming as well, these live streams. I think so. Yeah, I think it should be about the normal quality, hopefully. But I think, yeah, I think it's as good as it can get. Of course, this is Train Sim Classic rather than Train Sim World. Quite nicely done, though, I think. And you know, with the vegetation patch put in, it's quite nice. I have messed about with the settings on the streaming software, but I think it's about the most it'll handle. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, this itself is quite an old PC now. Bought this just before the start of COVID at the early part of 2020. So, you know, it's coming towards 5 years old, so certainly not the fastest or the latest, for sure. Oh wow, that sounds magnificent. Actually, I still haven't got round to listening to the one you mentioned the other week as well. Must get round to. It's just finding the time sometimes, but that sounds absolutely brilliant. Gotta love a bit of Arthur Lowe. Yeah, that's definitely the thing. I think the mods that have been done on the Tradesome community website have just totally transformed the game, really, and some of them are just absolutely brilliant. You always feel as though, DTG will go so far with it, and then the modders on the website will just take it to a really realistic level. And I think in terms of Train Sim Classic, I think we're not far. I think we're about maxed out with the detail. I don't think it'll get much better than this, really. And I think the track mod as well adds something to it. Yeah, brilliant. But with the added bonus of Arthur Lowe. But I remember watching that documentary about, well, not documentary, that drama about how Dad's Army came out, and it was kind of like he looked as though he couldn't be bothered with all the lines, and as though he was really struggling with the part and everything else. But the moment he was live on the TV and he had to perform it, he was absolutely amazing. Now I was looking at the chat there. I didn't look at what colour signal that was. Was that double yellow? I'm guessing. Yeah, he was a great character actor, wasn't he, Arthur Lowe? I'm trying to remember the other one. Was he one that was in the Carry On films? Am I right in saying? I think I can remember. I'm sure he wasn't he? Kenneth Connor, yeah. Oh, we're still at red, I think. We'll treat this cautiously anyway. I mean, actually, that's not my red on the one on the right there, is it? But oh, we're actually a bit off our signal yet. Yeah, absolutely guaranteed, I'm sure. I mean, judging by last time, it was September, wasn't it, when it came out? So I think you virtually guaranteed a yearly release. Oh, of course he was. Yeah, of course. Good morning. Yeah, I used to love Hello. I mean, the concept was stupid, really. I mean, the idea that they're just talking French, talking English, but in a kind of a French accent. But it works somehow. It was absolutely incredible. Right, so we're I think we're cleared into the platform then now. Yeah, it was. Fantastic. Listen very carefully. I should tell this only once. No, I shall say this, isn't it? I should say this only once. And for any of the younger viewers watching, then you know, they'll think, what on earth are we talking about? Good time to say it, I suppose. I'll mention it first off, but thanks for anybody watching. And again, whether you're watching live or you're watching back on a recorded stream, welcome to the channel if you've not watched this before. And if you're enjoying it, if you haven't done so, then please like and subscribe. And again, thanks again. It just seems to keep on growing. There's been quite a few new subscribers in the last week, so thanks to all the new subscribers and the old ones as well, of course. So here we are at Taunton. Probably should be sticking behind that signal really, but it doesn't really matter, seeing as though it's on green. No, I think you're dead right. It's funny, isn't it? And you know, probably said before, but you know, some of this stuff, it's so I don't know. It's not really offensive in some ways, but it's just that we've moved on. We're a bit more politically correct, I guess. Well, there's the guard. So we're not getting the direct route through Bridgewater now. We're going to take a turn to the right fairly soon, and we're off towards Castle Carey and then Westbury. So you will indeed, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yes, indeed, yeah. I think you know, you two in particular, and I know Zachary's been a very long subscriber and watching from the very first episode as well. So thanks. As ever, you three really do keep things going and keep the chat going and keep me entertained, which is absolutely marvellous. Yeah, it's a funny thing about that that grass. I mean, it's possible there might be, if I reinstalled or tried the very latest version, there might be some patch somewhere that corrects that, because it's not supposed to be like that, and it might be some mod that's kind of mess it around a little bit, but it's not quite supposed to be hanging in the air like that, I don't think. But you get these little quirks. You know, we have the quirks in Train Sim World as well, but certainly in Train Sim Classic. So the idea is we will get to Leeds eventually with this service. So next week will be Bristol Temple Meads to Birmingham New Street. So we'll be getting a bit closer to its final destination. So it might be slightly shorter overall, the stream perhaps tonight. I can't remember. Yeah, there's that strange grass again. It could be, it might be a little more like 3 hours, maybe 3 and a bit rather than 4, but we'll see how things go. And I could only think of doing such a long run from Plymouth to Leeds in this way. It'd be a bit too much to do in one stream, and it's nice to have a bit of variety. I hope you'd agree. But it'd be nice to think that eventually we will do the full journey, all told. It was only last week when I actually finally discovered how to do the intro without using media player and load it up into OBS Studio. And thanks as well for all the advice that you both, well, you've given me over time. I mean, Amaze Tays finally pointed me in the direction so that we didn't have the cursor going on the screen, and I looked, I couldn't find the setting, but that kind of makes the stream look a little better, because it's a bit irritating sometimes if you've got the cursor in the middle of the screen. So I think that was the junction there where essentially we've left the main line bit where you're going directly over to Bristol. This is the slightly long-winded way, and the only reason I'm doing this is because that cross-country service, this 1627 from Plymouth to Leeds, on that particular day did go via this neck of the woods. Yeah, it certainly is. And I think that's the thing sometimes. You know, I mean, in the main, some of this stuff's fairly intuitive, but you get little quirks here and there where it's not quite easy to find. And I think there is a point in this run we are going to get held up with a bit of a wait at a red signal. And this might be it coming up. But that's the great thing about having the chat and the conversations. Find things out along the way sometimes. I'll try and take this a bit steady. So we're still 3/4 of a mile away from the signal. I wish with that real-time trains website that you could actually look at the archive stuff, because I know, for example, this service eventually, when it gets to Birmingham, apparently they were held up a bit along the way, just before, from about Kings Norton, I think it is. But it'd be nice to get the detailed timings and then try and replicate even more so. Oh, we're going to go through this red signal. Blooming ink. Oh well, fantastic. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I mean, I know that some people use, quite a lot of people seem to use Streamlabs, don't they? But where are we? Yeah. Let's head ourselves back to the signal. Probably find by the time we get there that it's turned to a different aspect. I mean, as far as I can gather, I mean, when I had those streaming problems, whenever it was in November, I think they're made by the same people, aren't they? Or they're kind of done in conjunction with each other. And I don't know if one's better than the other, really. I've kind of got used to this OBS studio more than anything, so... There we go. Didn't really go through that red signal at all. So I think if we press tab, yeah, it's denied. There is something. I know it does clear eventually. Don't know if we can see on the map what's holding us up. Ah, we're waiting for the Newquay to Paddington to move. We must be a bit early, I think. Ah, right, okay, yeah. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of the streamers do seem to use Streamlabs. I don't really know why. I know when I started about September time, it was kind of a question of what to use, and I think I just happened upon this earlier more than anything. Just a quick view of, well, you can see how well Just Trains have done the scenery. It's a good effort. Just trying to zoom down the track, really, just see. I don't know if it'll let us get far enough to see the... Yeah, it's not moved yet. I wished I'd got my async keys on because we could speed things up. Great expression there, isn't it, widgets? I love it. I think when I redid this scenario last night, I think I kind of set it as a 1810 from Castle Carey, so I reckon it'll be on the move soon anyway, that train. But it will move in time. Because I think the well, it starts getting a bit complicated, but I think it's supposed to originally have been the 1730 from Castle Carey to Weymouth to, but it was from Castle Carey, but I think it started at 1730 originally, so moved it forward by 40 minutes. So we are at 1810. See if we can see it's starting to move. Might not be exactly 1810 when it moves, but yeah, it's gone, I think, hasn't it? It's gone. Nope, no, it's still there. But it won't be too long off anyway. Definitely does move eventually. I've still not completely figured out why I ever had those PC problems. Well, I kind of know how it started off, but I still don't know totally what caused the issues and why it wouldn't work properly. But I have to put the VPN on McAfee for it to work, and if you try another VPN, it doesn't work. The streaming's all over the shop and completely unstable. But with this switch on, it works like magic. I might have started off the run, I think, last night. It might have been a bit behind, so we'll wait for that to get moving, and then we'll be good to go. Hope it's not too long. Getting a bit impatient now. But I love, like, you know, all the detail there, even there up on the hill, and you know, the representations of the farms and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's good news. Yeah, it's definitely gone. Yeah, so won't be too far away. Again, just looking at the map, that's where we are. So we've got a red. Yeah, it's definitely on the go, which is a good sign. So we're just waiting for that to clear. Yes, I saw a bit of that actually. Yeah, the railways around West Yorkshire, and yeah, looks very good. And you have to admire the passion for the bloke, because you know, obviously his day job is building routes and trains in the world, but you know, he's still doing the streams and showing off the route building. And doing all that in his spare time as well. Must be quite a way off to the first signal, because the signals are quite spaced apart here actually, so that's what we're waiting for. I mean, I've dabbled a little bit in you know, sort of track buildings. I could just about build trap, but the idea of trying to do gradients and stuff like that is slightly beyond me. I've worked out how to do lofts and putting in scenery and bits and pieces, but it's hard to do it completely tidily, and it takes up so much time. I mean, I was having a look at the East London line, trying to get in the modern Shoreditch High Street, and I've kind of ripped out as a clone copy of it, and you know, again, this is only for my own use, because you know, you'd need the permission of the guys who built it. But I put in the track, managed to rise it above the Great Eastern Main Line and put in the track over where Shoreditch High Street in. But At the pace I do things, it'll probably take me about 5 years to do. I promise this will eventually clear. It's trundling along, but yeah, you can see there's quite a long gap. Right, okay, I think once we get past, that's what we're waiting for it to do, to get past that W41 signal. If you didn't know any different, you'd think those two trains have zero. So that's got a green. Could have done with removing that 1500 Newquay to Paddington service, really. That's holding us up. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, definitely. There we are, we've got green. We're good. I mean, I have to say that would be the dream, really. You know, you've retired and to do a bit of route building in a day, and the world's your oyster. Right, so we are finally up and running again. Just having a quick check about the football. Spoiler alert, like they used to say on News at 10, if you don't want to know the result, then look away now. Or turn the volume down, I suppose. All right. Well, Man United have won on penalties. 10 men Manchester United beat Arsenal on penalties. So I presume it was still 1-1. Yeah, 1-1. Man United winning 5-3 on penalties. And we've got the 4th round draw taking place, of course, very soon. So that will include Spurs and it will include Stoke City. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, well, enjoy your meal, and we'll convene again soon. Glad we're on the way again, anyway. And we've still got about 60 odd miles to go to Bristol Temple Meads. So it's quite a trek, all told. I know. I mean, I quite liked when they had the golden goal situation. But of course the problem was it seemed to produce more negative football. I think teams were just too scared to throw away the victory. But when it worked well, I mean, you think of that Euro 96 semi-final between England and Germany, I know that did eventually go to penalties still, but both teams were going absolutely hell for leather to get the victory. And when it was like that, and of course I think the Euro 2000 final when France won was decided, it was just quite satisfying to see the goal going in, and you knowing that it was a conclusive success. I'm quite a fan though of the idea of this season that the FA Cup's going to be like one match and, you know, no replays in a way. I mean, I know they've kind of done it because the Champions League dictates really there's too many matches already and they couldn't fit replays in, but there's something slightly more satisfying, certainly if you're the neutral, in thinking that the game's going to be decided one way or the other on the day. It feels slightly old hat nowadays going to replays. And I mean, I still remember the time when there was never any penalty shootouts in the FA Cup, and you know, you got to like the 5th replay, but such things are unimaginable nowadays. I'm trying to remember from my point of view the last time that Stoke were in the FA Cup 4th round. I think with this scenario, when we do eventually get to Birmingham, it's going to be a question of, it's going to be dark, but that'll be a few weeks time yet. So I think the plan will be next week will be Bristol Temple Meads to Birmingham New Street, then Birmingham New Street across to Derby, and then the last 2 bits, Derby to Sheffield. Well, last 3 bits really, because Derby to Sheffield, then there is a route somewhere that does Sheffield Doncaster, and then Doncaster to Leeds. Trying to not wander too far away from the cab. You never quite know what's going on, what you might miss. Not a great expert on this. Right, let's make sure the brakes this time. Go to full service. Make sure that we get down to 30 so that we can stop at the signal. They seem to be just basically 3 aspect signals on this stretch. There should be enough time to be able to stop in time. I think we are lurking, must be lurking around this corner somewhere. But this is kind of the gen I'd like to know, really. It's, you know, in real life, where did this service get held up? And that's why real-time trains, if you could get like an archive version of the service and what went on, then you'd know all the facts and figures. Yeah, we're still going to be held up by that same HST, aren't we? Oh, I missed the draw, haven't I? Oh, wow. Yeah. Aston Villa against Tottenham. I missed the draw, haven't I? I didn't realise that. Hang on, let's go back to the start then. Right, so we've got Manchester United. Trouble with these feeds is they keep like lurching you back and forth. Right, we've got go on the stream. So we got green. So Man United against Leicester. Oh, fantastic. Oh, there we go. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, we've had another wait for another signal. So I think Spurs are away to Villa in the next round, so that'll be interesting. And so we've got Man United against Leicester, Leeds against Millwall or Dagenham and Redbridge, Brighton against Chelsea. Oh, that looks a good one. Preston or Charlton against Wickham, Exeter against Nottingham Forest, Coventry against Ipswich, Blackburn against Wolves, Mansfield or Wigan against Fulham, Birmingham against Newcastle, Plymouth against Liverpool. Oh, I like the sound of that. Home Park. Everton against Bournemouth, Villa against Tottenham, Southampton or Swansea against Burnley, Leyton Orient or Derby against Manchester City, Doncaster against Crystal Palace, Stoke against Cardiff. Oh, that was the last one to come out. Yeah, wow, yeah, absolutely. That's an old school game from the 70s and 80s, isn't it? There's some proper hostility there. Stoke Cardiff takes me back to the year when we won the cup, and we drew against Cardiff in the third round at home, and then the replay was on S4C, so suddenly everybody in the Potteries was trying to get find out what channel S4C was on and watching it in Welsh commentary. But yeah, there's some interesting ties in there, though. There's no like big kind of head-to-head like with Arsenal and Man United, but I suppose actually the Villa Spurs one promises to be a really good game, and I think the other one that really picks the eye as well with Plymouth against Liverpool. Yeah, hello there. Hello to Ron from Montreal. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't even begin to tell you what DLC I've got in terms of numbers. Welcome to the stream. And it's good to see such international interest, really. Is that Train Sim World 5, or is that a combination of Train Sim Classic, or how does that go? And what's the temperature like in Montreal at the moment? I suppose with this speed I should think about not like bombing really towards the next signal, because if we get another yellow then we're only going to be held up again. I sometimes think the problem is the more DLC I've got for, well, both games in a way, it's like, how many of them have I actually played properly? Ah, right, excellent. Right. Yeah, I mean, we've had a bit of snow in the UK this week, but maybe not to the same scale as you get it. Yeah, it's one extreme to the other, isn't it, when you hear the news and, you know, they're talking about... it's felt a bit like that in the UK with, you know, we've had it going down to, well, -7 in my part of the world. I mean, it's got a lot colder up in Scotland, but then you're hearing about the fires in LA. It's like one complete contrast. And what's your absolute favourite piece of DLC that you have on Train Sim World 5? Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the plan will be, when I get round to doing the bit later on, we do St Pancras to Ashford. I'm going to, got to remember first, but I'm going to do that in the snow, I think, and try and replicate a little bit of some of the snowy scenes we've had this week. And it does look quite decent in the snow. I think I've got some sort of mod on as well. The idea is it improves the particles a little bit. Ah, marvellous, yeah. Marvellous. And I mean, I know sort of there's quite a few different Scotland ones, isn't there? You've got the 5 Circle, you've got the Glasgow Edinburgh one, the Cathcart Circle as well. And there are some absolutely beautiful runs in and around Scotland. We might get some more news on Tuesday, but hopefully we're going to get the 158 as well for the Leven branch in that new Decathlon, that new special livery that they produced with all the maps and all the paraphernalia on the side of it for the Leven branch. We are very much in the deepest southwest of England with this Train Sim Classic run. And heading towards Bristol Temple Meads. And we'll be there in, well, no time at all. I mean, it might take the best part of an hour, actually. Now, I was a bit confused then. We got a green signal, but you've got that yellow house at the corner, and that kind of made me think we've got a yellow aspect signal coming up. Interesting that 150's stuck there, because I'm quite sure that was supposed to be a Bristol Temple Meads service originally, but I'm guessing for whatever reason it's blocked in the context of the scenario. Yeah, absolutely, and that'll add a great deal of interest, won't it? And so hopefully we'll get to hear a bit more about the Alan Thompson route, the Manchester commuter one, and I'm really hoping for some dates on that. And you know, if it's more or less ready, then you kind of hope it's going to be they're going to be in the realms of releasing that by the end of January, or you know, maybe early in February or something. But yeah, it's good to have a bit more playability within the existing packs. And really, having the roadmap back again is, I mean, I don't know, I quite enjoyed the idea of these month of December reveals, although in a way didn't really tell us anything massively new other than, well, there was the Willesden junction to Stratford, which I'm very much looking forward to in the 378, and then the Class 86, and there were other obviously bits and pieces, but the Class 86 and the new Mark II air conditioned carriages coming out. Ah, right, fantastic, yeah. No, that's great. I mean, I'm trying to still very much support both games, really. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't own on Train Sim World 5. There's still some routes that I haven't even installed yet properly. Yeah, that's true. Not forgetting the Thomas announcement. The much maligned Thomas, but I'm sure they'll do well out of it, actually. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, yeah, you can't beat English fish and chips. Well, maybe. I mean, I'm going to be doing a run from. I don't think there's a fish and chip shop on it, but going to be doing a run next from Preston to Blackpool in the Class 47. So perhaps you can pick up some fresh fish and chips from Blackpool North when we get there. I bet you'd love to see a Canada route coming on at some point. I'm looking forward as well for the Amsterdam route. Does it include Amsterdam? I can't remember. The Netherlands route anyway. That looks to be quite interesting. Right, hopefully we're well and truly clear of that HST now. Of course, now I've said that, the next signal will be adverse. Yeah, that's true enough. That is true enough. Quite a while since I've had fish and chips from the chippy, actually. Well, we seem to be getting a succession of. Let's get this speed up, actually, because if we're trundling along at 80 miles an hour and we're good for 100 miles an hour, then we're never going to get to Bristol Temple Meads. remember a few years back now, but one of my old jobs, I used to have half a day. I used to work Saturday morning, but I had half a day on a Thursday. So my favourite pastime was to get off the bus and have fish and chips on the Thursday afternoon, and sometimes there was either cricket or horse racing or golf or something to keep you going for Thursday afternoon, and I used to quite enjoy it. Oh, it's very interesting. Yeah, excellent. That's really good. And again, if you're really eagle-eyed, by the way, with this scenario, you might notice that some of the HSTs are kind of in the wrong colour scheme, really. They should be in Great Western green, but I hadn't quite got the chance or time to swap it all out, so I'll have to make do. I guess it's one of those things that for the rest of time, and as long as those trains are in use, you can take pride and say, I've played a part in this, and they're still alive and well. Because unlike sort of with cars, you know, trains, you know, built generally for the long haul, and they last, you know, sort of 30 years would be the minimum, wouldn't it, sometimes? I don't know. Well, I don't know anything really about the trains in Canada. Are there some long distance fast trains? I know, like the USA, for example, that a lot of the long distance trains are kind of a little bit on the slow side, aren't they, and don't have much substance to them. So is the Canadian network a little bit better? Again, just another good time to say, really, but thanks for everybody watching, and if you've not watched before and you want to like and subscribe, then I would be tremendously grateful. Help to grow the channel even more. Oh, excellent. Haha, remember the old Pope mobile? That became absolutely famous, didn't it? Dread to think when that tour was, but it's I mean, in a way it seems like yesterday, and another way it seems like it was a long time ago. We are hurtling. I must admit, with these long running journeys, I do quite like reasonably regular stops, just to make the passing of time a little bit better. I mean, it's not so bad when you're doing these chats, because the time flies anyway. But I think sometimes when you see on the marker it's like 70 or 80 miles to your next stop, it sort of feels like forever. Oh, I might have missed it. I wasn't quite in time. One feature I like with Train Sim World 5, and actually we haven't got it in the Javelin because I was trying it out earlier on because it's an older thing, but it was better when you could actually hear what you were doing. You can hear all the alarms from outside the cab. So I think we're pretty much roped into stopping. But not to worry. Need to get those brakes released. Yeah, they are coming off, so we're all right. Yeah, and imagine it'd be very, very pretty as well. And, you know, I've no idea whether Dovetail Games have got any intentions of... But, you know, you kind of hope that they might do in time. I think Canada's one people have certainly asked for, and Australia's another one as well. But, you know, there's lots of places. I mean, we've got the Japanese line coming out, which looks interesting. But I'd love to as well see a sort of an urban Japanese one around Tokyo, or, you know, have the bullet train in there at some point. But, you know, again, it's all a little bit licensing and all that sort of stuff. So I think possibly, if I remember rightly, this might be the Westbury bit coming up. Because of course it's perfectly possible to be doing a Paddington service here where you completely miss out on going through Bristol Temple Meads entirely. We're kind of going back on ourselves to get to Bristol Temple Meads, and then next week we're going to kind of go out the other way. We're reversing out effectively. Yeah, so when was that papal visit? Let's keep an eye out for the signal as well, because I mean, it was flashing, wasn't it? Flashing yellow, so at the very worst we should have... No, we're green, aren't we? We're okay. Ah, excellent. That's interesting. I suppose another question as well. I mean, have you you ever been over to the UK, or is it kind of, have you kind of taken in it British sort of railway, UK railways, just from watching on YouTube and the like? Yeah, I think this is Westbury. So we've just got this 40-mile-an-hour stretch for a bit, and then we're up to 70 mile an hour. Ah, excellent. Yeah. Yeah, better done in good weather, I guess. So, quick look at where we are. You can see you've kind of got... Well, there you go. That's that HST heading off to Paddington. So we are at this point. You feel as though we are properly back to being on the way to Bristol Temple Meads. I mean, maybe I could have just cheated and done the... I mean, there is an Armstrong Powerhouse scenario which does Exeter to Bristol Temple Meads, and that would have been a bit quicker doing the direct route. Ah, right, okay. Yeah, well, you never know, maybe at some point in the future. I mean, Canada's a place I'd love to visit myself. I've never been to, or the USA, come to that. Quite a flat part of the UK, this part really, around here, around sort of Devon, Somerset. So it's kind of pretty, but you know, completely different than the rugged land around Scotland, of course. So I think it's gonna, I mean, we've got a few slow bits, and then I think once we get back onto the main line proper and head towards Bristol Temple Meads, then, and you can't get more historic than Bristol Temple Meads really, with Isambard, King of Brunel, and of course one of his great creations, the Paddington to Bristol main line. The AWS that time. That's for the slow down to 50. Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know the ins and outs. There are some, I think it's partly licensing reasons, where they've sometimes that they've used an older or set the route in a bygone era. It's not one I own, actually, the Trenton one. bit more brake on, try and get down to 50 before we get to the marker. So we've got a 60 followed by a 40. So it'll be a long old haul, I have to say, if you're travelling on this service in the UK and going from Plymouth through to Leeds. I mean, I do quite like sort of going back in time with some of these routes. I mean, the you know, the Blackpool one that we're going to do next up with the Preston to Blackpool. I mean, that'll be the class 47, you know, from the 80s, and fully enjoy that. And sometimes driving the old trains as well, just a bit more quirky than some of the modern stuff. Yeah, good question actually. Probably I mean, for the UK, I think probably the longest route would be, for Trains in World 5 anyway, would be Preston Carlisle, that Just Trains brought out recently. And again, it's a brilliant creation. I did a run on that last week from Carlisle through to Preston. Of course, the, you know, so the West Coast Main Line, if you're going in real life from London Euston through to Glasgow, is about 400 miles, I think it is. So I mean, in terms of you know, in the UK, you can kind of go from Penzance in the far southwest corner, go right the way up to Scotland through the Scottish Highlands, and I think the most northerly station is a place called Wick. Well, you got Wick and Thurso. I can't remember which is the farthest north, but they're kind of on separate branch lines. But this is a long old haul itself with this run going from Plymouth through to Leeds, a cross country service. But you know, using loads of different DLC from Train Sim Classic to achieve it. Oh, okay, yeah, it was that's the one you got, was it? West Coast Main Line over Shap. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic route, it really is. And again, beautiful part of the country, because you're going through the Lake District. You kind of got the, you know, it's quite interesting both ends of the route really, but going through the Lake District, which is a beautiful part of the world, but also, you know, driving a train that was built from the well, it's from the mid 1970s that the line was electrified, and yeah, that's actually represented 1980, 86 or 87, I think it was. Love the detail that they've put into the stations, and I mean, Train Sim Classic will never graphically be as good as Train Sim World, of course, because it's a much older game, but it's still nice. I love the variety as well with West Coast Main Line over Shap. You know, you don't have to just drive the 87. You've got the 40. You can drive. Well, depends on all the content you've got, but you know, it's good to be able to drive the 47 and You can do freight and passenger. You can do the Class 101 for the local services to Morecambe, or potentially one that was going up the Cumbrian coast. So there's a lot to it. And I've been Preston to Carlisle in real life on the train quite a few times, but I've never done Morecambe actually. I must get a train from Lancaster to Morecambe. That's one thing to do in 2025. Crikey, that was a short platform. That must be a request stop only, I would have thought. Yeah, excellent. I think it's. Just Trains who've made the West Coast Main Line over Shap route are absolute masters, and they show such passion for it, and their aim is to produce a route, as far as I can gather, once every 12 months, but to do it to the absolute greatest of quality. And there's a lot of variety in gameplay in it as well. There's some routes where you've kind of driven it once and you think, I might not do it massively ever again, but there's endless runs, all sorts of variety, and it's going to be nice when we get the Class 86s, which are similar to the 87s in many ways, although you get 3 windows at the front, but also we'll have some of the other Mark II carriages that were reminiscent of the time. And if you watch, there's plenty of videos on YouTube of these kind of routes in the 80s, and you can see what they're like. This is pretty as well, isn't it? See, lovely around here. It's been a slight rickety old tour, this particular scenario, but it's been enjoyable. I've enjoyed it, and we are down to the last 17 miles. That looks like a canal going overhead. I think it is, isn't it? It is. Wow! Look at that. Speeding now. That's amazing. We will move on to Trades and World for the remainder of the stream. Probably only going to be about an hour's driving time, I think, once we get to Bristol Temple Meads, because it's going to be half an hour or so Preston to Blackpool, and then another half an hour St Pancras to Ashford International. We've all got the guessing game as to what the next Just Train route's going to be. They'll have started building it by now, but of course it won't be revealed until just before it's released. Again, probably about September time, October, something like that. Welcome back, Christopher. Hope you enjoyed your tea. So we've talked about the FA Cup draw, and Stoke are playing Cardiff at home in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Don't normally have to worry too much about the 4th round draw with Stoke involved. Aston Villa against Tottenham, Plymouth against Liverpool, some of the standout ties. Oh, head code, yes. Do you know, I haven't actually decided one yet. I think it was, the one I singled out was potentially the 1433, I think it was, from St Pancras. And I think that was to Sandwich. Yes, funnily enough, Mate Tames was saying about Leeds Millwall, but there has been a bit of history with Stoke Cardiff over the years. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I was sometimes I was thinking what, hard headcore. But yes, I knew what you meant. Yeah, obviously the head code. We are in the latter stages of this quite a long journey, really, from Exeter. I mean, we've kind of done it the long way, and then as I say, next week the idea is we'll carry on with the HST and take it up to Birmingham New Street next week from Bristol Temple Meads. I think you have. I think the second coffee's definitely been forgotten about from my perspective as well. That buffet service has let me down. No, I know what you mean. I still love it, to be honest. I get slightly bored with trying to be interested in football week in, week out, because there's just so much. So a lot of the run-of-the-mill Premier League games, even when it's two big clubs going head-to-head with each other. So I still like the FA Cup, and you still get occasional shocks, and you get some fabulous games. I mean, you think last season when Coventry very nearly beat Manchester United in the semi-finals. Like it. I mean, yeah, the scenery sometimes not quite as spectacular in Train Sim Classic as it is in Train Sim World, but it's still got something to answer for. I know, you're too right. I think he dips in and out of it. I think he says to me, I hear enough of your voice 7 days a week without watching you on the telly as well. So we'll forgive him. Still got a tiny bit left of the coffee I made before the stream. Yeah, I think what he's going to do is he's going to do the same when we do the southeastern route for the last run, St Pancras to Ashford. I think he's going to drive the same service as me. We did this last week with the Class 87 on the Preston Carlisle, so that was quite good. I think it ended up being fairly similar scoring wise as well, much to my astonishment. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you realise, by the way, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I think the chat is, I think it's about, the whole thing's about a minute later than when I see it. So it's not because I take so long to read the entry sometimes. It's more just how the thing works timing wise. I think it's about a minute behind. Yeah, absolutely. We could have a three-way service, all operating the same train at the same time. And then you'd be able to say, how on earth have you managed to go through that red signal? I saw it miles in front. It wasn't a problem, honestly. Right, we've gone past the slow bit, so let's get some bit of speed up now. Yeah, I don't think you'd regret it. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I love it as well. And it's, it's one of the older routes, and I think it's good that you've got the variety as well with the stoppers you can take out to Dartford and stuff like that. And it's also the variety as well. I mean, we're going to do a fast run to Ashford, but of course you can also do the slower bit where you change over to third rail mode at Ebbsfleet, and then become a stopping service to Faversham. So there's a lot of variety. The 465 is lovely to drive as well, so it's good that you've got 465s and the 375s as well. So there's plenty to get yourself involved in. That's one of the few routes really where Dovetail Games have kind of built it for one thing and then extended it. Hang on, where's the train? Ah, there it is. And again, for anybody watching who hasn't watched in the previous weeks, this is with the Armstrong Powerhouse MTU HST pack that came out recently, and it's a joy to drive. The sounds are absolutely incredible, and I know they made a great effort to re-record some new sounds quite recently. I think they did it on the Great Central Railway, if I remember rightly. So it's been a fair old run, this, actually, from Exeter St Davids, and we're nearly 2 hours in. It's taken essentially about 2 hours to do. I can remember Spurs being knocked out of the FA Cup by Port Vale. I think it was back in 1988, and that was I remember the grandstand pictures, and it was on Match of the Day. They had the brilliant image of John Rudge punching the air. It was like they used it in the opening titles for a few years afterwards. It's quite an occasion. Yeah, they very much are, and they very much are. Oh, wonderful! Now that sounds amazing, actually. I mean, I did St Pancras to Paris with me father a few years back, whilst he was still alive. But we kind of treated ourselves to first class, and we had a meal on the way down, and it was absolutely lovely. Well, I'm not totally sure if he's still involved with the Stoke. He actually, believe it or not, moved on to Stoke for a number of years. He was like behind the scenes with the some of the coaching stuff. But yeah, he was a cracking, great manager, and you just knew with him that he was going to work his socks off to get the best results. And I'm not one of these people, because I'm a Stoke supporter, that I hate Vale or anything like that. I love the idea of both doing quite well. I think I've mentioned that before, haven't I? But it's just nice to see teams in the local area prospering. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you know, he's that great reputation of bringing players through the youth ranks. So I don't know yet whether we're cleared into the platforms at Bristol Temple Meads. This is a fantastic feeling, actually, just getting your train into Bristol Temple Meads, because it's, you know, it's sort of a place of such history. I think this is the motorway going over. Remember a few years back going along that stretch and coming into Bristol to visit a client a few times, and I was used to bore me boss talk about trains as we got towards Bristol Temple Meads. Sure about this yet. Yeah, I think we might actually be held by a signal. I know it's not like me to be stopping at red signals, but aha. We're approved. We're okay. Yeah, those two markers there, that signifies we are signalled into the platform. I think I've probably said before, but I mean, for myself, sadly I've never had the virtually perfect eyesight needed. But the funny thing is with schools and stuff, they don't kind of feel as though the idea of being a train driver is very career orientated, but I don't see what the issue is personally. There's another cross country service. So this is one of the great railway stations of the UK, if not the world really, Bristol Temple Meads. So the idea is when we go out next week, we should be leading with the British Rail Blue cab, because we're going back out the other way. I think that's an interesting story in its own right, though, from the transition. And, you know, I mean, what do I know about it? But I'm sure it's... well, I can only imagine the sort of stress of working in the city, really. And I'm sure the stress is with the busy roads, but I bet on a lovely day and you've got an open road, it must be absolutely amazing. There we go. Wow, it actually says we're completed and the scenario's successfully done. So, well, I enjoyed it. Sorry it's a bit of a long one, really. But there we are. That's taken us from Exeter St Davids through to Bristol Temple Meads. So we're on to Blackpool then next. Right, I do remember that time extremely well. I'll turn the sound down slightly now that we're getting on to Trades and World, because I think it's slightly louder. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's a, you know, it's a route that probably doesn't get a run out on very often. And again, you know, I couldn't exactly do that run every week, but hopefully just nice as part of a series. And I say, hopefully next week we'll be on to Birmingham New Street. So we're on to Blackpool now. Well, Blackpool branches. Ah, right, marvellous. Well, there we go then. Yeah, we'll give you a feel for, you know, if we're going in the 80s, a trip up Blackpool. So we're going to take the 47, because I feel as though, since I've owned this add-on, I haven't really driven the 47 very much. So we're going to do it in large logo livery. Let's think. So doesn't really matter which one we do. Let's do that pool one, I think, because that'll be a cross country one. Yeah, I know you've said you said in previous weeks, hadn't you, that you've been to Blackpool for the darts at the World Match Play, and I mean, I'm guessing you know, sort of drinking wise, that you, with the darts, you've kind of got to give yourself the day off the following day, I would imagine, to try and stop over in a hotel. Yeah, certainly love the snooker. I've been to the Crucible. I mean, not been for goodness knows how many years now, but I've been to the Crucible a good few times. what have we got? 47517, Andrew Carnegie. Yeah, that's something I'd like to know. Yeah, intriguing. Right, master key on with this thing. Let's get this set up. Oh, I know what we've got to do actually. We've got to do this thing up here, haven't we? And it almost doesn't matter with the mind you, I think the AWS is on now anyway, isn't it? Because we did the hang on. Yeah. Ooh. Isolated or not isolated? Yeah, it's unisolated we want, isn't it? Right, let's get the doors open. It was sort of the workhorses of British Rail. The 47's not always loved. Ah, right, marvellous. Is the one at Butlins? I know they have the darts at Butlins as well, don't they? Is that Minehead, or is it just a general weekend at Butlins? Yeah, I suppose I should ask as well. I mean, have you, and again, you know, you talk about busman's holidays and all the rest of it, but have you ever driven, what's it called? Is it Euro Truck Simulator? I mean, again, looking at the Sims and stuff, I mean, I've looked at some of the bus simulator stuff, but I think if they did a good modern one for the UK, I'd be interested, but I can't get myself involved with the thought of that OMSI. It looks a bit... Oh, excellent, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of the streams, and I've not obsessively checked, and I must admit, you know, again, sounds a bit geekish, but if some of the UK motorway network was accurately done in places, I'd be quite intrigued. Oh, excellent. Really is a beautiful route this, by the way, Preston to Blackpool. The only thing you have to watch out for on this route is that there are there's no AWS. So I've got a feeling the last time I did it in a class 20, I think it was, on the stream, I was kind of thinking when we got to Blackpool, I've no idea how I got there, because there was a couple of signals that seemed to just change at the last second. Ah, marvellous, yeah. Now that's some weight, isn't it? I've insured quite a few of them that size, but I've never driven one. And I mean, do you travel all over the country, or is it, you know, it's more local journeys? A bit of both, is it? Yeah, and imagine that. Yeah, definitely. By the way, let me know if it's a bit loud, this train. It's hard to know sometimes. Sometimes the sound levels come through on the recording afterwards sound completely different than they do to me through the headset. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I bet it's nice, but I bet it's a lonely old existence as well when you're travelling across the country, or even, you know, across Europe, and sleeping over. Oh, right, fantastic. I can't remember whether I've asked you before, to be honest. That rings a bell. Um, Still amazes me that this route in the 1980s had got no AWS, essentially. Yeah, it's funny actually. We were watching. I've watched bits of it, but my brother's been watching. There's a series on YouTube about somebody that's visited all the service stations in the UK, and you know, some of them not exactly the best, in all honesty. All feel dark and dingy. It's funny, as a lad growing up, you were quite excited about going to a service station. I know the roads, you know, in and around London, though, regardless of where you are, must get very, very clogged up. It must be frustrating at times. Right, now, I saw that signal, so we must be get those brakes on. Hopefully it'll clear before we get there. Yeah, very much. It's lovely, isn't it, actually? And there's that T-Bay one as well, isn't there? Which is, I think it's owned by the same firm, but it's kind of completely different. Now, we couldn't quite take the brakes off in time, but we are good to go again now. The brakes are off anyway, aren't they? So seem to be sliding along at the moment. Do. So the throttle's on full. Oh, I think I might have slightly tried to push off too much there. That's what the problem was. Yeah, very much so, very much so. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and as you say, sometimes there's no common sense at all. And I bet as well, I mean, I don't really know if there's been snow around your neck of the woods this last week, but my goodness, it must make it hard. Like it. Yeah. Some cracking listens as well, isn't there? Yeah, I mean here we've had a little bit, and it's but it hasn't caused masses of disruption, thankfully. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, I guess heavy rain, and again, must make it tremendously difficult. I mean, again, it's a bit like it's the same thought, isn't it, with driving these trains where you're conscious that you can't just stop it in an instant. Ah, excellent. Yeah. And just as well, just saying, I mean, I've not downloaded it, but I noticed, actually, speaking of the weather, on the Train Sim community thing, there's a mod which says basically you'll be able to drive it according to the real live weather, which I thought is pretty good. So I must have a go at that at some point. Just something I spotted a bit earlier on. Right, we've got green signals. Yeah, and I presume, I mean, I've not looked at it properly, but I think you obviously have to download some sort of app that it works in conjunction with. But, and again, I've no idea whether it, you know, suddenly finds it slows the game down or does something adverse. So, be interesting. I'm almost thinking I'll perhaps hold off from downloading it until I've seen a few people's reactions and make sure it works. Although I suppose, like anything else, you can uninstall it if it doesn't work properly. So we've still got clear signals, which is good to see. There's an old pacer in regional railways colours. Yeah, this is obviously Just Trains' first add-on, the Blackpool branches, and we've got the Preston Carlisle. I wonder what the third one will be. I was thinking the other day, I wonder if I'm sure Tom's mentioned that he likes the Carlisle to Newcastle route. That'd be a decent one for the next one to come out. But we'll find out over the course of the year. Well, I suppose it depends how far you go back, really. I mean, this is oldish. You know, this from the 1950s, mid 1950s. I've not really, like I say, I've not delved into steam trains yet. Excellent. Well, to be honest, there's been quite a few in the last couple of weeks and over Christmas, and yeah, it seems to grow by one or two every day. So we're getting there slowly. I think the next target really is the 500 mark, and it'd be good to get over the line with that. And I suppose that's a good time to remind people, isn't it? But again, if you're watching this back, or you're watching it live, whichever, then if you're enjoying it, hopefully, then please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification button as well, because it'll tell you when the videos are coming up. And hopefully, I'm trying to get a few more videos up during the week. I don't think it's ever going to get past being more than a couple in the week, but for the time being, if I maintain sort of one a week, then it's a start. Excellent. Yeah, fantastic. I've got to remind myself now which service I said it was going to be. No, I think there has. I think there has been a couple. It was kind of in the week. It's up to 459. Lovely to hear that old clickety clack over the points. So we've got a 20 and then we go back up a little bit in speed. Let's see if we can get down to 20 just beyond the station platform. Love the detail on these old stations as well. And that's where we head off the branch to I can't remember what it's called, Burnt Naze, isn't it, actually, with the tanker trains, and you've got the oil terminal thing there as well at the end of that line. Oh, there's a question. That is an interesting question. I mean, there's sort of all sorts of different things, I suppose. I mean, I love Stoke Station, for instance, because, you know, it's local, but I love the architecture. I love how busy Crewe is and the atmosphere there. And I like places like York as well, because you just feel that sense of such railway history. So it's kind of different things. I mean, even daft as it sounds, I even love Birmingham New Street because, you know, it's not the most pleasant of experiences at station level when you've got diesel trains coming through, but it's such a busy station even now. Not as exciting as it was in the 1980s when you got all these old locos and this, that and the other coming through, but it's still pretty exciting. So a bit of an ambiguous answer, I know. But there's so many, it's hard to really pin it down to one. You know, if you were to say what's my favourite London station, you know, I'd be hard plussed, because, you know, St Pancras has got the lovely architecture. Euston's a bit of a dump, but again, it's interesting because of the, you know, the trains that go through and the fact that it's on Train Sim World. St Pancras is, you know, incredible. Waterloo's interesting. there's so much variety. I think the UK rail network is still absolutely incredible and amazing, and obviously decimated when beaching came in the 60s. Yeah, Peterborough's amazing as well. Love Peterborough. Again, it's I don't know much about the place itself, but yeah, train wise, a lot of variety. Yeah, there's some lovely local stations as well. I mean, we're talking about the Severn Valley and how nicely they do their routes. And I'm fascinated. I remember years ago watching a documentary, some BBC series where they kind of looked at life at the country village workings, with dropping off the cattle truck and all the shunting that went on an old goods service. Yeah. Again, it's amazing, isn't it? It used to be that crowded overbridge. I like Charing Cross actually, for a modern build as well. So we've got to keep an eye out on here, because it looks as though we've potentially still got another signal before we get to the platform. I love that section. I mean, I'm glad we can do it on Train Sim Classic now, but between Charing Cross and Waterloo East and London Bridge, I think is an amazing piece of railway. I'd just love to see a nice custom build at Charing Cross. Probably said that before. I'd love to see that in Train Sim World actually. Right, so I think this is a red signal, isn't it? See Blackpool Tower in the background. Yeah, there's some amazing people that have done stuff like that. I mean, obviously Jeff Marshall was a massive YouTuber, and he did the oh, there we go, we have got clearance now, that's good. I mean, he did the all the stations thing, and so yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for stuff like that. And again, it's just finding the time really, but I'd love to do some other types of videos as well, and I've even got footage that I've recorded in the last year. Yeah, interesting choice, and it's kind of got that old style, well, that what's the word for the architecture, but it's yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I like all the Metline stations because they feel a bit more like, and some of them feel like country village stations in many ways. Blackpool North's not a bad station as well that we're coming into now. Again, heavily changed now that it's electrified. Yeah, possibly so. I mean, I've watched a load of his videos. I've kind of forgotten now. Art Deco, that's the word I was thinking of, yeah, or trying to remember. Just thought, actually, I've got my lamp here, haven't I? I don't know whether I should have done something with that. Bit late now, anyway. So we've got a pacer waiting on. We come into this January day. Try and amble up to the buffer stop. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I only recently actually did a train on the DLC at Canary Wharf. I'd not kind of done it before. Yeah, I'm a great fan of the Elizabeth line, actually. I think it's added something new to the train network. Right, welcome to Blackpool. Like how they got the Lancashire Red Rose. There's a bit of a queue for the ticket office man. Looks pretty busy, we won't disturb him. The old Traveller's Fair. Oh, there we go. Oh, enjoyed that, that was nice gingerbread. Oh. Of course, the old style displays as well. So, platform 4 for the 1430 Birmingham New Street. 1805 doesn't sound very busy, does it? We've got a bit of Blackpool. Unfortunately, you can't go massively out from here, I don't think. But can't go out to the seafront like you could at Morecambe. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, no, I like the idea of that, Christopher. And hello to Andrew. Yeah, yeah, enjoyed the... I must admit, I'm very partial to a bit of shortbread. Yeah, unfortunately, we've only got the gingerbread there, I'm afraid to say. Right, so let's reload Train Sim World 5 up again. So it's going to be shortish tonight because this is going to be the last run and it should take about half an hour. Yeah, thank you very much as ever for watching again. I know you've watched quite a few times. I certainly remember over time, which is lovely. Thank you very much. And really good to see returning viewers. Yeah, hope you're doing well too. Okay, so where's it gone now? We want we're going to do the southeastern now. I'm going to set this in the snow, I think, which, as you say, not totally accurate. Ah, brilliant! I like it. I'm sure that's not the case. Right, so I've got to try and remember now. Now then, is that the one I said? 1335. I think that was the one I was aiming to do. Is that okay? Yeah, great. Fantastic. So there we go. We'll set that up. Right, here we go then. So 1 Liebert 36, St Pancras. Well, it says St Pancras International to St Pancras International, but we're only going as far as Ashford. And quite an old add-on now, but still very good. We might get the occasional weird-looking mod of 395s because of some of the mods that I've got in place. Yeah, this is, I mean, it says we're going to Sandwich. So let's get the train set up. Master key on. Get the marker lights. Day running, I think we'll have. Yeah, we've got a Curious Transpennine liveried one coming into the platform, but I've got that many mods installed that that this does happen sometimes. You can. It's a funny one because it'll only let you go so far on it. And I think, hang on, let's see if we can do this. Oh yes, what I'm going to do anyway is I'm going to keep the door open because I quite like the extra sound. So if we do a Actually, I'm trying to remember how I do this best. I think if I'm actually in the cab and then use the 8 button, I'll get a better view. Yeah, if we sort of do one of these super, use a lot of people mingling about, and oh, there we go. You're getting a view of it now, and it's good how they've got King's Cross model there as well. So I think you might get a bit of a view of it here if I swing the camera around. You can see it's been very nicely modelled. Traffic around London looks fairly quiet at the moment. But yeah, it's good that they've also got King's Cross in there as well. Ah, right, that's interesting. Yeah. In mine, it's the northern one, isn't it? So right, okay. So we should be able to get moving, hopefully. I like to try and, with this, that's kind of my preferred view, where you get a good view looking out of the cab. Yeah, it is a absolutely beautiful station. Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of the second version of the route, because when it first came out, they just hadn't got the same detail on the catenary. Although we've got the AWS switched on, we won't, of course, hear it very much. Yeah, I mean, I remember St Pancras as it kind of was in the very early 80s, and it was so like dark and dingy. I think British Rail actually got ideas of even trying to close it down if they possibly could, and it's undergone such a transformation. Oh, I'd love to stop in there. I've not even, I don't think I've even looked and seen about what the prices are, because I suspect it's eye-watering, the cost. Right, so for the first time we've now got the KVB in operation, so speed up quite nicely in this thing now, up to 200 kilometers an hour. Yeah, if I ever came up on the lottery, that would be a dream stayover, to stay at the station hotel, whatever it's called, at St Pancras. Hope it's not too noisy. I say I like to keep the door open, because you can hear the sounds of the motors just a bit better, and the sounds going over the tracks. Remember my father saying when we were going over this bit, he was saying, crikey, we're not at the Channel Tunnel yet. And I said, no, of course not. No, this is the new bit that they dug under central London. It was kind of the only way, I guess, of getting out. And thankfully there's plenty of bits out in the open as well, once we get through Stratford, and once we go through Dagenham and then into Ebbsfleet. It's fascinating, this KVB signalling as well. It takes some getting used to at first. Yeah, again, there was a good YouTube one recently on the East Coast Main Line, and it was a converted Mark III coach, and you know, you got a good view of the railway line as well, so looks absolutely fabulous. We are shortly coming into Stratford International. There's also one, I think, well, there's loads actually. There's some, I mean, there's that Railway Cottages website, but there's I've seen a few. There's one on the Great Western Line, you know, somewhere in Cornwall, I think, and there's a nice one, not Cheltenham, but that sort of neck of the woods. Yeah, well, you never know. You never know. I mean, again, I don't really know, even with the heritage lines, whether, you know, the eyesight and everything. I don't know whether you'd have to have the same eyesight as you would for a main line driver. But I suspect there's still quite tough regulations, and I bet the vast majority of the drivers would be you know, real train drivers, retired train drivers, I would imagine. I mean, personally, I'd love to drive the, you know, a diesel, and of course anybody can do it if you can pay for the driver experience thing, which you know, again, must do that one day. So that's our first stop at Stratford, and then we'll emerge out in the open just shortly before Ebbsfleet International. Are you a bit ahead of me, Amaze Taze, or is it fairly similar? And of course, in a way, I mean, driving this thing, you almost don't need the thing at the top. You can actually go by the signalling at the bottom, which is incredible. Great fan of how they've modelled the tunnelling as well. If it's possible to be excited about driving through a tunnel, then this is it. All right, just about the same then. We're about on course. That's excellent. And at least with driving the Javelin, there's not going to be too many distractions. With no AWS on this section, then it's going to be fairly similar. Lovely unit to drive, though. Yeah, definitely. There's some amazing ones. I mean, there's a railway cottage near to Whitby which should be lovely as well. You get the daily steam trains coming through off, well, in the summer anyway, from the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. I mean, it was a surprise to me. I went camping near Whitby with my brother many years ago, and I didn't even realise that the North Yorkshire Moors Railway did full services to Whitby. And just as we pulled into Whitby, we saw the steam train arrive. I thought, wow, we're going to do that tomorrow, and we did. But I just love the idea of being in one of these places, setting the tripod up for the day, and watching and filming the trains. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine that. I think I'd be fairly useless at it. I'm just praying actually that I don't get that KVM alarm going off, because I did it earlier on, and for the life of me I can't remember how you disengage it. I think it's KVM, the signalling, isn't it, on this route. You get this slightly weird thing here where, yeah, you see the tunnel end extending a bit, but then it's not far off though now, and we will be back out into the open. Then we get another section where we go underground just before Ebbsfleet. It's a lovely train to drive. And as different an experience, oh, there was a 66 in the yard as well. As different as experience as you could have from driving the Class 87 that from last week. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, remember, I mean, I did it once before. It's relatively simple, isn't it? But that's the brake demand button, power brake handle in neutral, and resume, yeah. We had a bit of a wintry scene, a bit like this at home earlier on, where it wasn't snowing, and but the snow on the ground still, and there was that lovely sunshine. Yeah, I mean, I don't know masses about it, but I think sometimes I hear some stories about like the Medway towns, and but I mean, we're going to diverge off on this run to Ashford, but you can actually carry on this route through to Faversham, and you go from Ebbsfleet, change over into DC mode, and then go through the Medway towns. Actually, I better keep. Yeah, that's better. We can see the speed a lot better there, can't we? About to go under the whatever it's called, the QE2 thing, aren't we? see. You can see it over there. There it is. And we'll get ourselves down to 160. Yeah, absolutely. And I sometimes feel as though it's slightly underrated, Kent. But as you say, it's nominally the Garden of England, isn't it? Reading a book about, again, a footballing sense, but a book I had at Christmas about football in the 70s and the 80s with, they were talking about Brian Moore, the old football commentator. Of course, he was from Kent, grew up in Kent. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that being said. We are coming up into Ebbsfleet International. If we were going up to the higher level, that's where we would carry on to Faversham. That track there in the middle that's going up on the flyover. Look as though we're too busy here. We've only got one passenger waiting for us at Ebbsfleet. I think I've technically stopped. I could have stopped a lot further down the platform, couldn't I? Yeah, I've been on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. It's a lovely line, and it's also particularly when you're doing the steam, it's there's some bits where it's quite hilly as well, so you really do feel as though it's working hard and going on a climb. Tell you what though, you're doing well, because you're managing to drive and type, and I've kind of got the luxury of, okay, I'm trying to read the chat and drive at the same time, but you were doing the whole lot, whole shebang. So we've got 32 miles to Ashford International. Kind of forget how far they've modelled it, really, which is pretty good. Oh, excellent! Yeah, that must have been give you great vibes. Great little series that was, wasn't it? Yes, of course, that's what it was, wasn't it? That's Javelin Station. That was the one that they used in the series, and it was quite often as well, wasn't it? It wasn't just on the opening titles. Very often, they very often featured trains in and around Javelin. We are the same length train as we were before, haven't we? Kind of got the feeling it was longer somehow. Yeah, brilliant concept, wasn't it? And the idea of, you know, very much combining the, I mean, 60s before my time even, but, you know, combining the 60s music, the lovely setting. It's a lovely part of the world in North Yorkshire. And the only thing I am going to have to remind myself, I don't think it gives you any advance warning, but I know when you get to Ashford there is a lower speed limit, but it doesn't tell you what to come down to, as I recall. So I'll try and not get caught out by that. Usually when I kind of say out loud that I'm going to remember something, I usually then forget it. We've got quite a stiff climb at the moment. Even a train with this power struggling to get up to the 225. But you've got all the European style catenary as well. So I'll try and remember as well when we get to Ebbsfleet not to come out of the score thing at the end as well, so as we can compare things. Now we're getting downhill, picking up speed rapidly now. Again, I mean, it's great that we can go as far as Ashford, but it'd be good if we could have a bit more of Kent filled in, and potentially even do the Channel Tunnel down to Paris. Oh, there we go, speeding a bit now. There's no speed set thing on this, of course. This was always a bit of a weird oddity and something that they've never quite rectified, because they've got the road going on, but we never get any traffic on it. And certainly when you're doing these speeds, the mileage really eats itself up, and you're going along at a terrific rates of knots. So yeah, I'm hoping if I get a bit of time in the week, hoping I can record some sort of video to go out during the week. Not totally sure yet about next week's stream, but you know, it'll be 5 o'clock as normal. Oh well, there you go. Same mind as me. Yeah, hopefully. There's some great videos on the Creators Club for Train Sim World, like the one I did the other day. If I've got a bit more time, I could do a Train Sim Classic one, but we'll see. But I'd like to at least get one midweek one up, because that seems to get a bit of interest going, and you know, I enjoy doing them one as well, of course, but you know, it's good to see getting some subscribers from the extra streams. And again, you know, it's time permitting, but it would be lovely to actually have a go at creating a scenario for a Creators Club at some point. I don't think it's that complicated. I mean, I'm kind of thinking, I mean, the Don Coffey videos, there's a good one out of Manchester Piccadilly to Hadfield and Glossop, and it'd be good to kind of recreate it with, we've more or less got the stop that you see pretty much on the journey. Maybe you could substitute in a Transpennine and, you know, an 802 or whatever it is instead of a instead of the 165. Oh, lovely. Oh, that'll be a nice break for you. And I'll tell you what, though, I mean, with how cold it's been this last week, I bet you're really looking forward to getting some lovely sunshine. That'll be fabulous. Hope you have a marvellous time. Again, quite a climb, so we're struggling a little bit up the hill. Beautifully modelled though, this unit. Oh wow, wow, yeah, absolutely, yeah, oh yeah, loved the series. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, hope you get a slightly better service than you used to see in the series, but that'll be fantastic. I loved the fact that you know, essentially it was it was real, and it was real locations, and it gave you that proper vibe. You know, I mean, I remember back in the day with Duty Free with Keith Barron and Gwen Taylor, which was brilliant, but essentially it was filmed in Leeds, wasn't it? Yeah, you soon gather pace on this thing when you're going downhill. So when we get to Ashford, that will be the end of the stream tonight. So slightly shorter, I guess. Where are we now? 2018. So, well, I suppose not quite the 4 hours this week, but so yeah, not totally sure about next week. I know we'll definitely be doing on the Sunday, definitely carrying on Bristol Temple Meads, this time to Birmingham New Street. So that'll need a bit of planning, because I think I've got a ready-made scenario, but it's a Voyager, so it'll need just converting. That should be fairly straightforward, even for Train Sim World wise. I mean, we might do a bit more on the southeastern. I haven't done anything on the East Coastway route yet out of Brighton. You know, we could either do a Seaford or an Eastbourne run. Ah, excellent. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was a last one. I mean, I kind of had to slip in the Preston Blackpool this week, because I was kind of planning that for last week, and the rate I was going, it would have gone through till midnight. I know, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm gonna, I mean, in all honesty, I probably will vary them between the 3 and 4 hours. Just trying to find interesting runs, really, and it's quite nice doing stuff with both Train Sim World and Train Sim Classic, because there's plenty on Train Sim Classic as well, which is, I know it's graphically not quite as exciting as Train Sim World 5, but no, never appeared. He's forgot. He's probably fallen asleep, actually. That's the other thing, really. I need my regular supply of coffee. I mean, I always say at work it's the only thing that that keeps me awake, and you know, I start getting kind of woozy headed and all sorts without my coffee. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's plenty going on with that. I must as well. I think I've got to re-download it, but quite fancy re-downloading the I forget what it's called now, but the one where it goes from Bristol through to Cardiff, with the new catenary around Bristol Parkway and all that sort of stuff. I mean, we're going to kind of do a little bit of that, but with the Bristol to Birmingham route, but yeah, I think the problem is I'm that far down the coffee thing that it doesn't. I mean, I've literally drunk coffee just before I go to bed, and I've had no problem sleeping. Alright, say 160, but we're actually already inside it, aren't we? So we're alright there. Now, I've just got to be a bit careful when we get into this AWS situation, because I've been clobbered with the AWS just coming into Ashford before. Ages since I've done this run into Ashford International. So, I mean, if you've done a more recent run than me and Maze Taser to Ashford, then you're probably going to have a head start over me because, I say I've forgotten, but I do know there is a fairly restrictive AWS. Ah, right, not much in it then. Yeah, that's good. Actually, I think it's 40, isn't it? 40 mile an hour. I have the same problem going the other way, actually, going into St Pancras. I always forget the precise speed limit into St Pancras as well. Sometimes catches me out. Absolutely, he's behind you. Just to say again, if you thank you very much for everybody who's watched tonight, and even if you're watching it back in the coming days, then thank you very much. Every view is appreciated, and if you haven't done so before, then please like and subscribe and click that notification button. And very pleased, greatly appreciated all the support and interest that has been shown over, well, more than 12 months now. Oh, that's a Eurostar livery, isn't it? Well, probably not totally inappropriate, because you would get Eurostar services here. I think I'm right in saying. Yeah, thank you very much, as ever. You know, massively appreciated. It's an honour, really, because I really enjoy driving the trains, as you know. But it's also fantastic to do it, and it's great to chat, and that's the great thing about it. It's sort of doing, you know, we're looking at things that we all absolutely love, and we covered a fair few subjects too in the chat as well. So yeah, thanks to Christopher, thanks to Maze Taze. Oh, wait a minute, cracky, that certainly scared me half to death as well. So right, there we go. Well, I'll keep that on the screen a bit longer this week as well, so as we can compare scores. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a nice ride from St Pancras International through to Ashford, calling it Ebbsfleet. I did do a recording video a few months ago now, where I went to Faversham but then carried on with Train Sim Classic down to Ramsgate, and that was a great run as well. But it's a fabulous route to drive. Again, there's so many great routes really that you can drive on both Train Sim Classic and Train Sim World as well. Oh, right. Oh, wow. Well, fantastic. Well, there you go. That's pretty close though. But yeah, good to compare the scores, and very much enjoyed. Yeah, well, so did I. So did I. Well, I think I struggled in that respect sometimes, but yeah, well, there you go. Well, yeah, thank you again. Thanks to everybody that's watched, and all right. Well, I won't say excellent because, of course, I know what it's for, but well, enjoy it if you can with such a thing. But at least it saves the points anyway. That's all I can say on that one, isn't it? But again, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of trains and from Power Flower, trains and planes. Yep. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you again. Till next week. It's bye-bye.